Welcome back. Thank you so much for being part of my day. All right, I got Dr. Chris Burton with me today, my chiropractic expert and overall general fitness expert. Chris is a graduate of the University of Bridgeport College of Chiropractic, and what I liked about Chris was he's done musculoskeletal studies and he's done neurology studies, and that's why I love to have Chris on. Chris, thanks so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
All right, let me ask you something about Bridgeport. Bridgeport's still open, right?
Yeah. It was Bridgeport was the first school that was the chiropractic school was inputted into a university, which was kind of a big deal. So they've been open now. It's been over 20 years now.
Wow. So you're there, and you got to study on one of the coolest guys in the world. Can you give me a little clip on what it was like to study with your mentor?
Yeah. So my mentor was named Dr. Muse. He was my resident my last year, but I actually studied with him for about 3 years. And he was a chiropractic neurologist, and what that means is he actually went after he became a chiropractor. He went and studied a neurology school called the Carrick Institute, which by us was out of the University of Connecticut. And what it does is it basically takes about 2 years of study post chiropractic school, and it basically centers in on functional neurology. And what I mean by that is actually being able to use neurology to cure a number of problems that we see. It's really amazing stuff if anyone's out there who finds someone that is trained in that. I got a chance to work with him for 2 years. I attended the schooling but didn't finish, didn't get a chance to finish. But I learned a lot from him, and I'm a big fan of it. It really works well.
Yeah, because that's why I sought you out. All right, if you want to get in touch with Chris, it's burtonchiropractic.com. His practice is actually located right outside the Atlanta area in Roswell, Georgia. A lot of people say that's Atlanta anyway because the traffic sure is mimicking the Roswell in Atlanta area. Now, Chris, I got a question for you because that's your background. I've gotten a lot of questions this week of, can you ask Chris X? So I wrote out all the questions. Now I'm going to ask you the first one. Headaches. What causes them? How do we get rid of them? And can chiropractic help it?
Well, I'm sorry, I missed the first part. What causes
headaches? What causes headaches?
Okay, great. It is an excellent question, and obviously something as a chiropractor I see a lot of. It is unfortunately, headaches are one of the toughest diagnostic maladies that we face. It is something that has so many different causes, from blood sugar to tension, stress, sinuses. There are so many of them. In my practice, I tend to lean towards more of them that are created through neck problems. Now today with everyone sitting over computers all day, right. I think even most people understand that that's a really poor posture. And the stress of your head leaning forward like that, we call it anterior head carriage. The stress that it causes on your neck is what in turn causes a lot of these headaches to happen. And so that is right up our alley as chiropractors, because adjusting and I do myofascial muscle work as well, along with my adjusting, as you know, and combined together really seems to help. The ones that we're as medicine is really unsure of how a lot of what goes on with them is the migraine headaches,
right.
and you see those more and more nowadays. What we as chiropractors look for is that's a little different. We talked about the neurology earlier, and that seems to be compression at the first cervical vertebra. And not to get too anatomical, but there's some really important nerves that come off the brain that we call cranial nerves, and these are nerves that supply eyesight and our hearing, our taste. And when they're compressed, we tend to see the symptoms that we see with migraines, which are problems with the eyes called photophobia, where the person wants to be in a dark room and,
right.
and loud noises, and they feel nauseous and maybe dizzy, and all these nerves that represent those symptoms are right there at the C1 vertebra. We call it the atlas. And so what we found is working there and doing adjusting and muscle work at that level is really beneficial for patients that have headaches, and especially the migraine.
I know how much better I feel. Let me ask you about this, and we've talked about this while I've been at your office. It's the dehydration. You wake up, you're dehydrated, because people don't realize how much they sweat. And right now, we're having a hot period. What can people do pre-bedtime to make sure that doesn't happen?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. I've seen this. We all know, like, we spend a lot of time outside, and maybe we're playing sports, or we're doing gardening, or room work around the house, and we're sweating up a storm, and we know to hydrate ourselves. But what happens when it's 98 degrees every day, like it's been this summer? We're sweating all the time, and maybe it's not profusely, but it's just a whole 24-hour period that we're sweating, and that dehydrates us sometimes more than an actual going outside and doing a lot of activity. And so what I've seen over this summer is just tons of people that are coming in with cramping and muscle aches and headaches and all these kind of things that you see that go along with that dehydration. And I think it's just we don't pay attention to it as much when it's not as not as big a deal, when it's just something that's happening all day long. So what I like to do with patients is drinking water regularly and hydrating regularly, but especially before they go to bed at night. That's my big key is laying down when we go to sleep at night. It's when our body does a lot of work, and it needs a lot of fluid to rehydrate and to care for the damage that was done during the day. And so I like people before they go to bed at night to consume something. It doesn't have to be crazy, but something with electrolytes in it.
Right.
You have so many beverages now. They have Smart Water and drops and everything that has electrolytes, Pedialytes, and I like to stay away from a lot of the Gatorades and such because there's so much sugar in those. So if you're going to use those, you need to dilute them,
right?
Half and half with water. But I like just before you go to bed at night and start doing it on a regular basis and start drinking some fluid before you go to sleep at night, just a little bit, like maybe half a glass of something, and it really starts to see the difference in that.
Let me go with the protocol of so I do that before I go to bed. What do I do as soon as I get up from a hydration standpoint?
Well, of course, in the morning, hydration is just as key, throughout the day. But I'm not, I'm a big believer in we say all the time is not to be over drinking water. I think a lot of people are out there thinking that you need to drink 8, 12, 15 glasses of water a day.
Right.
That's not the case. During the day, unless you're out in extreme heat, you wait till you're thirsty to drink. That's the way the body works. If you're hungry, your body will tell you when you eat, and if you're thirsty, follow along with that. I just think that throughout the day, most people get dehydrated before they by the end of the day. So I'm big at night, but during the day, obviously, I'm a big fan of electrolytes and fluid-based, water drinks. But I really think that, just following the protocol of drinking when your body tells you to during the day.
All right, if you're just tuning in, Dr. Chris Burton is my guest. You can go by his website, check him out, burtonchiropractic.com. If you're in the Atlanta area, he's located in Roswell, Georgia. He's on here about once a month for me because there's several questions that naturally I can't answer. So I've got to go get the expert, and Chris is my go-to guy when it comes to chiropractic. All right, Chris, we've got about a minute and a half left in this one, and I know you're going to hold on for the next one. I want to start on something. Foot adjustments. When you adjust my feet, it's like the miracle work. But why is that type of adjustment so important?
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say that. I got a chance when I was able to work with a lot of runners. We being up in Connecticut and New York, we got a chance to work with some runners in that would run the New York City Marathon, and you learn a lot when we're working with runners because they spend so much time doing road work. The foot is incredibly complicated. It's interesting that you study the whole body. You find out like one of the most intricate parts of the body is the foot. There are so many moving parts, and it's and the way it moves, it's really quite elegant and quite amazing how we do walk. That being said, nowadays a lot of people spend a lot of time on the feet, and the feet take a beating, whether it's running or what have you, and because of that, it is such a place that we can see misalignments. And everything starts with the foot. When you put your foot on the ground, I like to say it's like a closed chain. When you put your foot down, wherever your foot goes, the ankle and the knee have to respond to that, and the hip responds to that, and the back responds to that. It's kind of a chain reaction. And so our feet are so important. And so adjusting them is incredibly key, and I've seen so much benefit from it with people, whether it's somebody who has ankle sprains or you hear a lot of now the plantar fasciitis is really popular, and we have tons of things that we can do for that. But just adjusting the line of the foot and getting the joints moving, I think that's what most people don't understand is their feet get stiff. And the stiffness is because the joints are not moving correctly. They're not aligned correctly.
Right.
And over time, that's going to wear down and cause, tons of your foot problems. So going into chiropractors, I think a lot of people out there don't understand that we do this kind of stuff. We work on every part of the body, and the foot it goes along with that as well.
Oh yeah, and it's one of my favorite. Now we got to go to break. Chris is going to hang on for one more segment. If you got a question for us, it's questions@scottferrell.com, or you can send us a text 706-889-9700. We'll be right back.
Right now at Pizza Hut, you can get any 2 medium pizzas for $6.99 each. Get any toppings, any crust flavor, anything you want for just $6.99 each. And sweeten the deal with a Hershey's Triple Chocolate Brownie for just $5.99. Only at Pizza Hut.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
I'm Sheriff Dane Kirby, and I'll stand up for you.
I'm Stacy Nicholson, Sheriff of Gilmer County, and I will stand up for you.
Stand up and speak out. No matter how rich, cool, talented you believe yourself to be, how you treat people ultimately tells all. I am Allison Sosby, District Attorney, and I'll stand up for you.
El Rey and Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated, and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey and Ellijay.
The summer sell-down is on at Days Chevrolet in Jasper with huge savings up to 16% off MSRP. Save over $4,100 off Malibu Limited, now just $19,500. Save $9,500 on loaded Silverado Crew Cab LT, now only $38,700. Save up to 16% off MSRP on select new Chevys in stock during the summer sell-down. Going on now at Days Chevrolet in Jasper.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Find new roads.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Hello, America. The first ever $5 flavor menu is here, and it's a game changer. For just $5 each, you can get a medium one-topping pizza, Wing Street Wings, a Hershey's cookie, and your other Hut favorites. A Pizza Hut pizza for just $5? It's the ultimate crowd pleaser.
How are you feeling, crowd?
Very pleased, thank you.
We do what we can here.
$5 for a Pizza Hut pizza. How can we not be pleased?
Good crowd today.
The $5 flavor menu, America's best pizza deal, only at Pizza Hut.
Welcome back. My guest today is Dr. Chris Burton, burtonchiropractic.com. If you're in the Atlanta area, you can sweep on by and see Dr. Burton. Roswell, Georgia is where he's located. If you're familiar with the Atlanta area, that is North Atlanta, as they would say it. Little between, you got Cobb, you got Cherokee, you got Fulton, you got a little of everything over there. So if you're in the Atlanta vicinity of Atlanta, go on by and see Dr. Bird. All right, I got some more questions for you. We left off with foot adjustments. Now I want to go to hand adjustments because it's another one of my favorite things. Why is that so important?
The hand adjustments?
Yes.
Hand adjustments. Well, getting back to what I just said about the foot, the next most complicated part of the body is the hand. I always say chiropractic's innate because, 95% of the world adjust themselves. We're constantly, everybody knows that you crack your knuckles and it's not something anybody ever taught you to do. You just kind of do it on your own. And basically that's all you're doing. You're realigning your own joints. I mean, I know people don't think about it, but it feels better after you do it. And that's the whole idea of it. So the hands are incredibly complicated. Again, when we look at the form, studying the form, the muscles and tendons that work throughout the hand. One of the complications of the hand is just that. The muscles are not really in the hand as much as they are in the forearm. You have tendons that run up into the hand, and that in itself becomes a really complicated area just because of that, where you're working in one area on a function that happens in another area. When we look at the hand, we see a lot of, today, a lot of misconceptions. Carpal tunnel is something that's thrown around really ubiquitously when it comes to hand problems, and that's a tough diagnosis. It's not always what people think it is. They just figure like they got a little numbness in the hands and the fingers, and it's instantly carpal tunnel. And there's so many different types of problems that can exist in the hand. So I always have people try to check that out and make sure that it's accurate diagnosis. Chiropractors are, we study the musculoskeletal system when it comes to, from the top of your head to your toes. There's nothing in the human body that chiropractors, as far as the skeletal system goes, that we don't work on. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. They just kind of go with chiropractors as back pain, but it's not true. So most of your chiropractors out there, experts in working on hands and hand problems. So I see that a lot. We tend to use our hands, in everything we do. Some of us more than others as chiropractors. Strangely enough, ironically enough, I use mine all the time, and I have hand problems time to time. So I try to do tons of different work on my hands and have them adjusted and work just to keep me at work. So.
Oh yeah. All right. Let me get to my next question because I've got people sitting. All right. Here's one that I get. People ask me to ask you all the time. Do kids need chiropractic adjustments?
Yeah, completely. Okay. It's a different way of looking at things. I adjust my children. I've adjusted them since they were born. I've said before, like being born is a pretty tough on the spine and the neck. It's probably the toughest thing we'll ever go through. Any chiropractor will tell you that we see what we call subluxations in infants that are born, and this goes along the cause of other problems, including colic and things like that. So yes, I'm a big believer in adjusting them. I mean, not at the extent that you would adjust an adult. In the beginning, obviously, the adjustments with when my children were born. I mean, it's almost akin to pushing on them. There's no full adjustments like I would do to an adult. We just use our fingers and really softly. Sometimes we'll use tools like an activator, which is that little spring-loaded gun. But it's minute. You don't have to do much to move an infant or even a small toddler. As my kids have gotten older, they're 6 years old now, so now I do complete adjustments on them, and it's wonderful. Kids are constantly running into things, and they're constantly, they're constantly knocking things out of place, and so they need to be put back, in alignment just like everybody else does. It's interesting once you start adjusting them. My kids will tell me when there's a problem, if they have a headache, their neck hurts, their back hurts, which is great because I know there's a lot of parents out there. Sometimes you just don't know if they're telling you, what's going on with them. So I ever since I adjusted them, and they know that it helps, so they'll tell me if they need to be adjusted, which is great. I love it because I know that I'm helping them.
Well, which brings me to my next question. A lot of times people will call you after the pain's already started. Is it important to have a regular adjustment period where you go once a month, twice, whatever it is? Completely.
That is one of the problems that I see in just kind of in our philosophy of medicine. I always like to tell people, and I tell you a lot, we don't have healthcare, we have sick care.
Right.
We have become accustomed to waiting to there's a problem to seek out any kind of solution to it, and that's not how the body works. Just because you're not in pain doesn't mean there's not something going on. You know, we exercise to keep ourselves in shape and strong, and we do a lot of these things. People eat right. They do these things to keep themselves healthy. So yes, chiropractic is definitely, that's probably the biggest benefit. You know, I see a lot of people that have low back pain, and I'm happy to help when they come in here. But yeah, I try to push across that we shouldn't wait for the pain. It makes no sense. You know, you can get adjusted regularly and keep yourself from having to end up in situations where you have some kind of low back pain or your back goes out. I often tell patients that I see regularly, you have more room for error. You know, when your body is moving well and you have more range of motion and your joints move better, you know, if you do have any kind of accident or, you know, you fall off a ladder or whatever, there's so much more room for error that you're not really going to injure yourself. And so that's one of the huge benefits I think people don't look at as chiropractic is preparing yourself for that life is tough and, you know, you may have things happen to you and we're preparing the body for it. So yeah, big proponent of being adjusted. And again, it's once a week, it's 5 minutes. And it's well worth it.
Oh, yeah. All right, Dr. Chris Burton is my guest today, talking a little chiropractic action here. BurtonChiropractic.com is how you can find Chris. All right, Chris, it brings me to another question. You said just a second ago, what's it really mean to throw your back out?
Yeah, that's a good question, too. What happens basically, and I know many people have had this happen to them, that feeling of, you know, you reach down to pick up a piece of paper and all of a sudden your back is gone and you can't stand up. You can't breathe sometimes. It is one of the most painful things I think most of us have, and I've had it myself, you know, have experienced. You lay on the ground, in the worst case scenario, you can't move. It's like you're paralyzed.
Yes.
Takes a friend to get you up. You know, we've all been there. And basically what it is a part of your the ability to move in our back is caused by a bone called our sacrum. Our sacrum, a lot of people have heard of this. It's a little triangle that's kind of down at the bottom of your spine, and it's at the top of your buttocks. And that is a really important area of our spine. And it basically deals with balance in the pelvic region, allows us to squat down on our knees and not fall forward, you know, allows us to move our hips in a wide range of motion. What happens sometimes, though, like anything, we overdo it maybe, and it moves a little far, and it just kind of comes out of alignment. And this is like, you know, we're talking millimeters. It comes out, but that's enough to actually send a signal, basically to your brain that there's danger for your spinal cord because your spinal cord is so close. And when that happens, we have an occurrence called splinting. Not to get technical, but it's basically the brain realizes there's danger to the spinal cord, and it causes an incredible amount of pain and spasm in the muscles in your low back, and it's basically protecting you. It puts you down on the ground so you can't make it worse. And it's amazing how many times I've seen people think how you know, my God, this must be horrible, and it's really kind of a simple thing. It just has a really big you know, result, a pain threshold that occurs. And so you know, I've had people carried into my office and walk out, you know, 15 minutes later. So, you know, it is just about adjusting it back into place. But I see that a lot, and that's pretty much what's happening.
Yeah, it's crazy painful. I remember being at work one day, and I sneezed, and then I went to reach for a paper towel, and I was stuck. I was stuck. I was teaching high school. I got stuck in the faculty bathroom, and I couldn't get out.
Yeah.
And finally, I was able to knock on the door, and people were like, "Where's that knocking coming from?" And they came and got me, and somebody drove me to the chiropractor. They didn't let me live that one down for a while.
I hear you.
Oh yeah, Dr. Chris Burton is my guest. BurtonChiropractic.com. All right, Chris, we got about 30 seconds left. People can find you on the web, by the chiropractic. Do you do others? Do you do any seminars or anything?
Yeah. So I do myofascial work, myofascial release techniques, which are great using tools. We work on tennis elbow, shoulder problems, you know, post-surgical problems where you have scar tissue buildup, and basically it is just the release of scar tissue to add range of motion and decrease pain in areas of the joints that people have had problems with. So we do that as well here.
All right, so Dr. Chris Burton, burtonchiropractic.com is how you find him. He's once a month with me, so if you got chiropractic questions, send them to us at questions@scottferrell.com or hit us up on the text line, 706-889-9700. Chris, you have a Facebook page?
I do. Also, Facebook, me at Facebook is Burton Chiropractic.
All right, Burton Chiropractic, eitherway.com or at Facebook. Chris, thanks so much for stopping by today.
Scott, thanks for having me. Have a great day.
All right, guys, I'll be right back. On the other side, I'm going to finish the 7 elements it's going to take to make your life fulfilled. I'll be right back.